My coworker is mad that I speak multiple languages and tried to report me to the manager after I got with her crush, but she failed and instead ended up getting fired. I recently started working at a cafe to support myself through university, and almost everything is fine, but it's very obvious that my coworker Melanie doesn't like me. Her biggest issue with me is that I speak multiple languages, and she hates when I interact with customers in their native language, always saying something like, "Just speak English, they'll understand you," or "Why are you being so extra?" even though I know it makes them comfortable when I speak to them in their native language. I come from Central Europe, and in my home country it is mandatory to learn multiple languages in school. I know English, Spanish, German, and Dutch, though my accent is very obvious when I speak. The town the cafe is in gets a lot of tourists, so I always switch to the language the customer is speaking in if I know it. This has never been a problem until Melanie heard me speaking in a different language and accused me of being spoiled and a privileged little white girl. She told me average people don't speak nor get to learn so many languages and that my daddy's money paid for it. I told her that my family is actually really poor, and I never even met my father, but either way she didn't have a right to speak to me that way. She always tried to pick a fight with me over this, and when I asked a coworker of ours why she reacted that way, they admitted that they suspect she's racist, since she said she felt cheated, that I hadn't told her I'm Polish. Every chance Melanie gets, she tells me that it's disgusting how I am refusing to see my privilege, and how I shouldn't be learning how to speak with local accents, because it's verging on appropriation. I only ever saw her at work because I would never willingly hang out with her after everything she said to me, but one night I was invited to go out with my coworkers, and I didn't realize that Melanie had also been invited. I tried my best to avoid her and just stuck next to Mark, one of my coworkers that I have a crush on. We were basically with each other all night and barely interacted with the rest of the group. Mark also speaks Spanish, and I caught myself throwing in random Spanish words in our conversation. We laughed about how I sounded like a TV character who would say, "Ay caramba," out of nowhere, and I felt like we were really bonding over this simple thing. Dare I say, he liked me back. It wasn't until days later that I found out Melanie also had a crush on Mark, which would explain her actions throughout the night. We started playing games at some point, and Melanie asked me about the languages I spoke. She pretended to be impressed when I told her and pulled out Google Translate of all things to ask me questions in the languages I mentioned. I answered every single one, and when she switched to Spanish, I saw a light bulb flicker in her head. I didn't know what that was about at the time, but it turns out she thought I was showing off by speaking Spanish to Mark, and wanted to embarrass me. When I answered in Spanish, she stopped me mid-sentence and told me she couldn't believe how bad my pronunciation was. She laughed at me and tried to get others to join in, but it was just very awkward. She told me that after hearing my English, she thought my Spanish would be better. Mark and I just looked at each other very confused. I said my pronunciation wasn't wrong. I just learned Spanish by watching Argentinian soap operas, and that's why my accent sounds the way it does. She told me to stop lying and to just admit that it wasn't good, but Mark chimed in and told her that I did in fact speak with said accent and it's not wrong. My Spanish was excellent. Melanie told him that he didn't have to pretend to not hurt my feelings and that I had to accept that I'm not good at everything. I was baffled. I burst out laughing and I could tell she was pissed. I said she shouldn't speak about things she knows nothing about and that she was being an a-hole. I went home after that and Mark actually walked me home. He kept my mind off the entire situation and just talked about random things. Talking to him felt so natural that I asked if he wanted to talk more in my apartment. One thing led to another, and I can say for sure that he does like me back. The next day, Melanie came over to my house to apologize for her behavior, though it was hardly an apology.